Hello. This is the first in a series of videos where I'm going to show you how to create a file upload form using PHP. So there's going to be several parts to this video. I'm going to make my best effort to make them into independent pieces that have value of their own, but it's all going to fit together into one big video. So hopefully this can be used to get you started and also address some of the little problems you might run into. So here's my starting page. Nothing there. I'll show you what it looks like. So here's the page that you just saw. Notice I wicked out all the CSS and all the unnecessary stuff, and I put those into requires because I'm not trying to make this about presentation. It's all about functionality. So my file, or literally my page, is going to be here. It's going to be between the nav and the foot. So I think a logical starting place is just to talk about what the form looks like. So you should have created a form at some point if you're thinking about this video. So I'm just going to paste this form and we'll talk about what it is. So I'll talk about the important parts here. So I was pretty cute with my form. I made it nice. You don't have to make it nice looking. You'll notice I used labels. So my first field is just a standard text box with a name of title. That's the title of the image. If you're going to allow users to upload an image, you're going to want to allow them to give it a title. The next thing is category. I used a simple option select structure here with it's either nature, people, or city. I'm telling you that if you want to allow users to upload photos, you probably want to allow them to categorize them so you can search it later. Let me show you what that looks like. And when I refresh, wait, that's what my form looks like. So here's where you enter the title. Notice for categories, those are pre-populated fields. If you're going to do a category, you should do an option select because you're going to search it at some point. And if you allow the users to put in categories, it's just not going to be very easy to query. An option select obviously isn't suitable for the image title because I have no idea what that is. And then notice this funny little button right here. Right, this is what it looks like when a user is allowed to upload a file. Talk about that. So notice it pops up this little dialog box. You can attach some things. Let's talk about the rest of the code. So I've got a text box, I've got an option select, and I've got this right here. So if you've never created a form where you can upload images before, it's type file. The name is whatever you want to call it. I called it image. It's probably worth pointing out that my category is called cat, my name is called title, and the title is called title, or TTL, and the image is called image, because we're going to write some code for that sooner than later. Right, so what needs to happen is this is type file. Now the tricky part here is this line. Right, so when you create a form, you always have an action, and the action is the name of this script, which is insert.php. The method needs to be post. If you're just learning, you probably do a lot of method equals get, and so do I, that's fine. But when you are passing a file, that method needs to be post. So that won't work if you do get here. And then this enc type has to be set. This has to happen if you are passing something like a file. And so this is going to be an image upload program when I'm done, just because of the validation that I'm going to perform. But basically that's what you need in place to be able to upload a file. So this stuff right here is not negotiable. You just need a field with a type of file and some kind of a, right, and that's that. So that's the form. You've seen the form. Let me show that to you again. Right, something like this. Of course, it doesn't do anything because there's no code on the back end. So I think it's logical to show you how we're going to begin to process this, and then we'll get into the actual validation. Most of these videos are going to be about validation. So what I would do is I'm going to head up here into the introductory PHP block, because that's generally where I like to process things. It's going to be above the head, and there's going to be a bunch of things I'm going to do eventually, but I'm going to start off with just a simple, like an isset. And this is in pretty simple terms. Sorry, I'm going to fill it in a minute here. This is just going to detect whether a file was submitted or not. This is a standard kind of thing we do. It's called data validation. And your probably naive approach would be to look for something called $_post, right? Square brackets and then the name of the thing, which is image. What you would think that would do is look for the image that you uploaded to see if it's there or not. You could check for any one of the fields, but that's not how it works. Right, this is a little bit different. So the file type of input, it's a little different. Instead, you want to look in the different super global. It's going to be called files. Right, so all the files you're uploading are going to be stored in here, and the field you're looking at, if you want to call it that, is that thing right there. So it doesn't make any sense to echo something out, but I'm going to echo something out just to let us know that we're doing something right. right? I kind of like doing things like that, so I'm going to save that and let me reload, and that's getting pretty close to a reasonable point to stop. And I realize I have a syntax error. I didn't mean to double up those parentheses right there, but I did. I never do the empty if block like I did, so I think that was the fix. So let me refresh, and that was just a silly mistake. And so nothing happens, but if I attach something, hopefully we'll see a little message up there saying something. And there it says success. Now, one of the things you're going to realize real early on, like right now, is that, hey, that's a horrible place for a message. So the reason how we deal with that much better is we create a variable, and I'm going to call that variable output, and I'm going to initialize it to nothing. And rather than echoing, I'm going to set that out variable equal to success. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to spit that out. How about down below the form? So I'm going to break into a PHP block. I know there's a PHP block right below it, but I'm trying to make this easy to read. And I'll just echo out that output variable. Now that's kind of going to produce the same output, but the difference is it's now going to be on the page as opposed to above the page. It's never the right thing to do to spit out HTML up in that introductory PHP block. A much better practice is to just build up an output message and then to display it later. And if I refresh, you'll see the difference. It's not going to be anything too elaborate. There's that success message. Now it's way more readable and it makes sense. So that's a good starting place. So at this point, we've built our form and everything's there that needs to be there, because the only way you're going to get into this isset block is if things are headed in the right direction. Now, if you're not getting that success message, then it means you've messed something up, and I'm not sure what that would be, but that right there is kind of the key to getting started with uploading a file. Thanks for watching. In the next video, we'll start to have a look at some of the things we need to validate to ensure that this is a safe file.